shapes and all the elements, and that's a shamanic view. So that's taking a long-term view of what Christ was trying to do. And trying to get it right. I think we're in a complex docking phase when a space rocket goes up to the space platform above the Earth. There's a complex docking thing before you can open the hatches. And I think intellectually we're doing that now. We've got this puzzle, how can we save the world, we have to dock all these possible things. They're all can be part of that, but we have to screw the bits in right so that we can then open the hatches and actually save the world. To me, that's what the job of intellectuals is, and I think that's what we should be doing, and that's why I've done the periodic table. Okay, last two. The last but one is number 140, which is, and it deserves its own box. I think I mentioned it briefly. It's the religious orders. So this is things like the Jesuits, the Benedictine monks, the Franciscans, the Dominicans. There are about 1 million of them. I mean, the Jesuits are still quite strong. My daughter, actually, Shanti Grace, who's studying at Cambridge, she just spent 10 days on retreat in a Jesuit monastery in North Wales called St Buno's. There are these sanctuaries around. We have one down the road in Bétet here with one monk in, apparently. I hope he's not too cold at the moment. I personally like the Grands Chartreux, the Carthusians. I think if I was going to become a monk, I'd become a Carthusian, because they spend their whole life in study and research and prayer and writing and scholarship and silence. And then occasionally they go out and have a meal with the rest of them and they can chat. That's kind of what I do anyway. So also they get to drink that amazing Chartreuse, that green liqueur that is so delicious, which they make there, and it's in France, just down the road. Okay, so let's have it for the orders, and then, both men and women. There are religious orders. The Franciscans are good. I heard a brilliant talk by an American scholar who's just written a book on thinking and scholarship as a pleasure. She's an academic. She was in a religious order, but she left it because she wanted to go back into academia and sort of teach. Because in an order you're enclosed, you can't be too visible, you can't do things that I do, talk on the internet and stuff. If I was a cloistered Carthusian monk, I couldn't record all my talks, you see, which is why I'm not. And this girl was the same. She's not very old. And she wrote a book recently about the pleasures of intellecting, the pleasures of thinking and doing scholarship like this. It is a value in and of itself, and has an intellectual pleasure for those that can rise to that. And she's criticising the current academic trend, which is everything has to have a utility. What's the point of all this knowledge? Can I get a job at it? Can I get a bigger salary if I know all this periodic table? What's the point of it? That's what we're brainwashed to think. Well, what she's saying in her book, and I've got it written down here, is the point of it is intellectual pleasure. The enlightenment experience of, wow, look at all this. This is my family. This is my birthright to know all this stuff. This makes me a better human. This makes me a better seeker of ultimate truth, etc., etc. It doesn't have a marketable value. It shouldn't. It needn't, because it's our human essence we're talking about. And that I think is what the religious orders are for. Don't dismiss them just because there's a few people doing a few prayers, because they're guarding that flame of self-knowledge. People dedicated to that spiritual work, not going out and getting a job, like parents always tell their kids, get out, get a job, get in the real world. No, the real world is the world that the monks and nuns are experiencing and encountering with their studies and with their pleasure of intellectual pleasure. It's what I call intellecting, which is Abelard's word. And he took refuge in Cluny, which was the headquarters of the Cluniac order, which was one of the great reformed Benedictine Benedictine orders in France, in Burgundy, and it spread all over Europe, and it had great libraries. I've been to Cluny. I was asking for the library, but unfortunately it's been scattered, and they pulled the entire abbey down at the Revolution. But hey, now all Frenchmen are good Cluniacs. Ha! Okay, last of the Christians, one that I dearly love is the pacifists. This is another branch or wing of Christians, right? And we've seen, again, some of these groups, the Anabaptists, some of the Quakers particularly, also Mennonites, they would also be in here as churches that take a devoted stand against all violence. They won't fight. Tolstoy in Russia worked with the Doukhobors, who were, again, Russian pacifists. And there are quite a few today, still scattered, Doukhobors in Canada and elsewhere. I wish there were more spirit wrestlers in Russia to stop Putin's nonsense. He just needs a visitation from 10 hardcore Tolstoy people to shut him up, in my opinion. Where are they? Where's the voice of Russian pacifism? It's ridiculous. Because that's the true voice of true Russia. I used to be on the committee of the Anglican Pacifist Fellowship, which is a group within the Church of England trying to bring us to witness to peace as true Christians. I still believe in it, I support it. I don't have time to be on the committee, but my friends are doing their best to get the Anglican Church to realise that we should be part of the peace solution, not war solution. I think having nuclear weapons in this world is no longer justifiable. We should negotiate them all away and get everyone to sign them away, like the UN has asked for. So pacifism is people that are trying to make peace. There's a confusion as to the term, because the word is sometimes taken to mean, a pacifist is someone that will never ever use force, whatever the situation. That's a misreading. That's just like silly. As C.S. Lewis would say, that's the devil pinching the good lines. Because, if somebody walked into this room and said, I've got a button here, if I press it, I'll blow up the entire world, and I'm about to do it, what are you going to do? I would stop them. I would use physical force, minimally, but I would use physical force. I have the peace sword of Britain. I'd use it to stop them, and that would be the least violent thing to do, than to sit down and say, oh no, I never use violence, go and press the button. Because that would be like colluding in the mass destruction of the entire planet. So I think one has to be subtle and weigh what it means. How much non-violence, how much force in whatever given situation. And this is in the etymology of the term, because pacifism means peacemaking. It comes from pax, pace, which means peace, and phakeo, which means to make. So someone that's a peacemaker, well, in that case of the button and the bomb, the peacemaker approach is stop that guy doing that, and so, and there are shades of Christian pacifism. Some Anglican pacifists like me might want to justify, well, actually, if we sit back and do nothing and you let Putin kill all Ukrainians and do his mad thing, then, it won't look very good on our CV when we get to heaven, so we ought to help them defend themselves. There is a right to self-defense in divine law. These poor people. So that's the kind of, you can argue that helping Ukraine defend itself is an act of Christian pacifism. And there are some people that would say that, and that's the whole kind of just war tradition in Christian theology. But so there's a whole big, and obviously I've thought this through a lot, being a professor of peace studies. I've got into the nuances and all that. I think we need a new understanding of peace that is inclusive. I think we need a peace settlement for humanity that guarantees everyone security, a home, shelter, food, friendship, love, family, education. These things should be our birthrights. They are our birthrights. Not war, not killing. We have to discipline the military forces of the planet. We have to disarm them. As civilians have to take control of the planet again. And we have to elect people into power who will do that. I don't care what they call themselves politically, Greens or Socialists or Liberal Democrats or whatever. They should all work together. The one narrative now is to get control of the cockpit, which is in the hands of madmen like Putin, and put it back on a peace direction. To me, that's what Christian pacifism is about now. And I think it's very important that we do that. I think that's what Christ would be trying to have us do were he around. Okay, so look, that's it. That's all 141. And I hope you found that interesting and useful in your, reflections. And we'll stop there, but obviously we can have a discussion afterwards.